Okay, welcome to SpyParty Winter Cup 2019. Want to take it away, Tobo?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be back. It has been too long since I've casted one of these. My name is Taboshi. I am here back.
Yep. Great to be here and great to be casting with Tobo again, and just great to be watching these great matches.
Absolutely. This is going to be a blast. And just in case anybody doesn't know, we've got Wodar as our host slash observer slash man behind the curtain this time around. So thank you very much to him as well.
Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Pay no attention to the Wodar behind the curtain. Yeah. So for people who don't know, we don't get many live matches. We only had a handful last year in SCL, for example, and they were always very exciting. But we've been downright spoiled in the Winter Cup. We are getting another live match today. This one between Crazy Kaylee and Opie Wrights.
And any match with Crazy Kaylee in it is always tends to wind up center stage just because this is Crazy Kaylee we're talking about. But man, Opie Wrights has made an incredible run so far.
Yeah, he's really kind of, I don't want to say come out of nowhere, because you know how this works now, right? These players, they play all these replays, they watch all these streams, they play thousands of games in a month or two. And the next thing you know, they can compete with basically anybody, in a given match. And that's exactly the case with Opie. He's coming up on 4,000 games, and he's above what I like to think of as the threshold, which is a certain number of games beyond which you cannot safely assume that they don't know how to do anything anymore. I'd say about 1,500 games is probably the floor. If someone has more than 1,500 games, you cannot take them for granted against anyone else. Opie well above that point. Even against Crazy Kaylee, can't completely write him off, but we all know who the favorite is.
It's always basically impossible to pick against Kaylee, but Kaylee and Opie Wright are now in the match. So looks like we're going to be getting started sooner rather than later.
Yep. Yeah, I can whisper them and tell them to go whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, they're going to get started in just a minute. Kaylee won the coin flip, called tails, man after my own heart. You should always call tails, people.
Always
and picks the veranda venue set, and Opie, very, very unsurprisingly, picks the set with Tay N in it. And looks like we're going to start on Terrace.
You have to pick the set with Tay N in it against Crazy Kaylee. I don't think there's any other correct choice.
I agree. You got to lean into that variance, force him to play uncomfortably.
Either way, it is going to be Terrace. Any three started. Remember, this has 3 minutes now.
Yeah, that makes timer flirts possible. It makes frames a little easier. And it looks like from the mission setup, if it doesn't change last second, both statue missions.
All right, here we go. And we will be in there starting things out with Opie Wrights on the spy side, Crazy Kaylee on the sniper.
And we are off.
Opening up with the timer flirt, the quick flirt to start the game. It's a white test for 34%. Nothing too crazy, but still a relatively quick start.
Don't want to do anything too crazy against Kaylee. And yeah, not a timer flirt yet, but again, with that extra time, timer flirt's now viable on Terrace. It really opens the game up.
And we might just be getting one. We're hanging out here for quite a while, so it looks like Opie Wright's just going to hang out here, but the seduction target does not feel like cooperating.
Yeah, and if that happens a couple times, you're in trouble. Once or twice, not too much of a problem. What I really want to see, of course, is what's Opie going to do for the third mission. Are you going to wait for AIs to complete? Notice Salmon has a fingerprint, for example, and the next bar visitor will as well.
3 very early lowlights for the sniper as well. Opie Wright's really just chilling, not really doing much of anything right now.
Well, you can afford to do that and still finish late, especially if you want to do a walking bug or something, which I think Opie does favor a little bit on Terrace, at least based on the games I looked at. But I think he really, really, really wants someone else to complete. And I don't think these lowlights are normal. I think Kaylee might be tracking something here.
I think you very well may be right, because Kaylee, generally speaking, doesn't go for these sorts of lowlights until a contact comes off. Opie writes, picking up the briefcase for the first fingerprint, so that gives us some idea of where he's planning on going through the rest of this game, but we're under a minute and 30 now, and no completions.
Yeah, the second flirt's going to help a lot, especially if it's green. You could tell he's leaving his options open. He really wants someone else to get shot, but he can finish if he needs to.
Not a green test on the second flirt, so we're going to need to get it nice and close for the third, but we are in contact with a double agent here. BB about to come off. There it is. Seduction target splits, but does get low lit for it, so apparently it happened.
Maybe you got a better look than I did. I wasn't sure that Rocker actually split before the BB. It was very close.
Yeah, it was close. Kaylee certainly seems to think it was before.
Yeah.
But it looked like it could have been right on to me.
Yeah, very close and a little risky in Terrace, but it's also not that hard to keep tracking lowlights even after they move around, kind of like on balcony.
Here is the last flirt at statue here. Remember, both swap and inspect are turned off, so this is not a suspicious place to be other than the seduction target.
Whatever the logic behind the lowlight, seems pretty obvious that if Opie does go for another fingerprint, that's going to do it. Instead, it looks like it's going to be a direct purloin.
Dangerous business, especially against Kaylee. He has the angle on the drink. No purloin.
Nope, it's a
Takes
fingerprintable.
the fingerprint from it instead, but it's not going to be in time. We're going to get overtime.
He'll shoot him.
Kaylee looks like he's lighting up the shot. 2 seconds. Does he get it off? He does not.
Wow!
And Opie writes takes the first game.
That there are only a handful of ways you can feasibly beat someone like Kaylee in a competitive match, and scoring a spy win on one of these swingy maps at the very start of the set, that's one of them. That is huge.
That is a very, very big win for Opie writes as he steps into the sniper side against Kaylee on the spy, who's already picking up his first green flirt at the window.
Yeah, you got to be really smart here. What's really interesting about that game, we don't have time to go back and look just yet, but I strongly suspect that that print was hanging out of that bar for so long that it was they just wasn't sure if it had happened yet.
It really looked like Kaylee was lining up the shot as well, but it didn't wind up happening. Second flirt has come off 89% off a little bit of a distance there. Flirt's looking really good so far. Kaylee making good progress and is in conversation with the double agent.
Yeah, it looks like highlights for bar visitors, trying to track that purloin really close. He knows that Kaylee's perfectly happy just doing the delegate and trying to force you into a 50-50 shot. Why wouldn't you?
Conversation's starting to fill up, but there are a lot of people at bar. We have to wait for people to step in the other conversation as well before the contact comes off. Now the other conversation's starting to fill up as well, but Kaylee doesn't want it. Not yet.
Does not want it yet, and probably the same thing. Look, on Terrace, you want to give people opportunities to do things and see where it is. As long as you make reasonable flirt progress, you can do a mission or two in the last 40 seconds. It's risky, but in the meantime, maybe somebody does 2 prints or 2 statues, depending on what you've left on.
Seduce is done as well. We've still got plenty of time, over a minute and 30 remaining as Kaylee steps into the statue, which once again is off to get his first fingerprint.
Yeah, that's why he's going instead, but I think Opie's going to be on it.
You would have to assume.
Yeah, and you can see these highlights decay when the purloin doesn't go off.
In the end of red.
There's the contact coming off. Very good contact. Only a couple of lowlights available.
Yeah, pretty solid, but we have only a few people who are not low lit who could have done a reel.
We are 1 fingerprint away from finishing with 1 minute left to play. Kaylee's in a good spot, but he can take his time here. No need to rush.
Here's the question, though. Does he deliberately wait for a difficult print and have an action test potentially for the victory? That's the big risk right now.
Either that or he's just going to wait for the ambassador to finally decide to move and then pick up that briefcase.
Yeah, and it hasn't happened yet. Sometimes you end up waiting until the clock runs out.
Kaylee is realizing that's a dangerous situation, decides to move, is likely going to step in a bit closer to the ambassador here to force the movement. That's exactly what's happening.
Yep.
20 seconds left. That's plenty of time to get this fingerprint off.
That window delay was maybe 3 or 4 seconds. That is shockingly short.
I think he started talking instead of grabbing the briefcase. That's going to leave overtime open.
Here's the big moment. You got to do it. There's going to be a couple seconds of overtime here. Opie has to shoot an OT.
It's
He has
lined
to.
up. There's no way he's getting away with this. The shot has come off, and Opie starts the match off with a 2-0 victory on Terrace.
Yeah, but those sniper wins are so automatic nearly on some of these other venues that if you give up just one game on your sniper side, you could be right back to deadlock. You
This
need
is
that
very
margin.
true. Especially against someone like Kaylee.
Yeah, and Ballroom, for all the talk of Kaylee liking Library, his win rates on Ballroom were better last season. Ballroom was better for him overall. Seems a little counterintuitive, but that's what the numbers actually say. But it's still fair to say a little more likely to get a spy win off Kaylee on a venue like this. We saw in the quarterfinals, Noob won a game with a bug as Pearls on this very venue.
Well, Kaylee is a very creative spy player. It doesn't get said that often, but he really is. And this is very much a map that rewards creativity.
It also rewards aggression. Yeah, he can certainly. He gets a little bit of a bum rap. He's obviously, as we say, a good spy. It gets overshadowed because he's a better sniper. There's an instant purloin.
Oh, it's a white test purloin to open the game. I'm pretty sure Kaylee had a pretty good look at the guest list, though, so very few suspects at this point.
Yeah, I can see what's up with Opie there. He really wants to keep the pressure on, and if you hit an instant green, Memel 726 in the group stages won a game that way on Veranda with an early green as Smallman. I think that was the idea. It's just a little too risky, and there's so much occlusion on Ballroom. I feel like you're just going to get better opportunities for hardtails. You're going to get walking bug opportunities. I get it. If it's green, it looks brilliant, but you're really betting your game there. And in this case, Kaylee, I'm almost sure, is just going to wait and shoot.
I think so. He hasn't done that much reaction to the purloin, but I honestly don't think he needs to. He knows who his suspects are, and the less information you can give Opie right now, the better.
Yeah, and by the way, he didn't gulp. That was the big decision right there. Now he knows that he didn't start with that drink. I think he probably knew anyway, but that's always one of the big decisions, right? Do you run away from the purloin and gulp? Do you stay in gulp? Do you stay in sip? Do you play it cool? Opie's just going to try to look innocuous, I think, pretty much this whole game.
That seems to be the game plan. We've got the purloin right off the top. We've got a 51% flirt and nothing else to speak of so far as we step into Green Book.
Yeah, you're really at the mercy of the party here, too. Now, the funny thing is, if you wait a little longer on the purloin, it might be easier to catch, but then there's also less certainty about whether or not it was green or white, whether or not you missed a reject. This was so quick that it's going to be kind of hard for him to think that it was a green. So I don't really think he has anyone else in mind here. It's going to take an AI going to center statues, being in during the banana bread, and maybe taking a bug path to coax a shot on anyone else.
Yeah. Opie's certainly keeping his options as open as possible, playing for the flirt while he's biding his time here in case he feels like he needs to do some final rush, but I just don't know what he can get out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's the bug that didn't even manage to take, but
No.
Haley's on it.
That's okay. You just can't give it away on the other side. You've got your advantage. Now you just need to be really tight on the sniper side, and that's the way to win. You sneak out the spy win. Kaylee's spy is good, but there are certain tendencies. And if you are on your game of sniper, you can theoretically win every sniper game against him.
Absolutely.
We saw it happen in SCL last year. There were a couple of draws where they were just pure sniper parties. Bloom and Kaylee went 12-0 in SCL in a match last season on the sniper side. That can work.
Kaylee?
Whoa.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off. What is happening right now, Track? I'm scared and confused.
I don't know, 5 or 6 lowlights available from that? Huh.
I can only imagine that was supposed to be a flirt.
Yeah, I think that might have been a misclick. I mean, look, they happen all the time. Even at the highest competitive levels, you'll get misclicks in almost every match.
So, Kaylee, not a great start to this game. Let off 4 lowlights. I think there may have been another available as well, but it didn't get taken.
Yeah.
This is far from over. Kaylee can still very much come back in this, especially if he hits this next green test on the flirt. But it's certainly not the start he wanted on the spy side.
Yeah, I learned the hard way in my match against Opie that if you are one of his suspects, if he highlights you, for example, he will watch you sometimes very closely, maybe even to the point of tunneling. Obviously, that's exploitable potentially, but if he's got it narrowed down and you're one of the people he's looking at, he's very good at tracking your mission progress.
Well, didn't hit the green on the timer flirt, so we're at 85%. Seduction target steps away. Just under 2 minutes to play now, and Kaylee's been playing this slowly.
Yep, he knows his reputation, and you can counterplay it. But Opie, of course, is going to be ready for that, especially on Ballroom. He did this on Ballroom as Irish in the Season 4 finals in his first Spy game.
Nice long-distance flirt to finish things up. He didn't have to be close because of that first green, and he knows it. Minute and 30 left to play, 2 completions. It's gonna be a little bit tight as he steps into center statues here.
Now, it's just early enough that he might be tempted to go for the swap too, assuming that you're not going to get an immediate shot the way you would if there were 30 seconds left, although he's going to have to hit a bunch of greens for that. My guess is he's just going to finish it and try to plan the hard.
I think you're right.
Two whites.
There's the inspects done.
Two
Does
whites.
get the statue down in time, I think.
You looked right, but boy, that was risky. That would have been quite a way to end the game.
Yeah, you do not want to go into that third statue cycle.
Purloin behind that conversation. Very hard to see. You'll only have 10 seconds. It's a powerful last mission. You might want to white on purpose. Nope.
I thought he was going to go for it. It would have been great to try for the green and dash, but it didn't wind up happening.
Opie's probably going to get you in that scenario. A lot of top snipers will, but maybe got a 1-in-3 chance, you know? It's a good way to put pressure on them. It's a good way to maximize your chances.
This Amba is making us very conspicuous.
Yeah, following us around as if we're the ambassador.
Yeah, exactly.
Here comes the bug at the end, I'll bet.
15 seconds. Amba's on the move. There's so little time.
Gotta hold this shot. It's gonna be tough with the reputation. What's he gonna go for here?
Well, it's gonna be overtime again if he gets it.
It's just gotta be a bug.
There it is, right on camera. No need to wait this one out, and that's just a shot.
Yeah. So definitely patient, you know, doing the hard tell last like that, already with a highlight. But I mentioned when Opie gets his teeth into you, he doesn't let go, man. He's a pit bull. Like he's tough about that. You got to stay off his radar until most of the suspicious stuff is done.
And Opie Wright is still ahead, 3-1, as we step into Veranda.
And a pretty strong map for Kaylee, but again, I don't think as strong as people think compared to his win rates on some others. You know, we've seen some pretty significant spy wins against him on this venue. It's tough, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of cover. It's all about time.
Opie Wright
Book cheese.
Immediately does the book cheese. It was on camera, but we have no idea where Kaylee's eyes are.
And there's no reason for him to shoot. Not in a competitive match, unless he's positive he's going to wait. And he's positive.
Nope. He's positive.
Now, look, I don't have a problem with these moves exactly, but I will say that the nature of Kaylee's game requires a lot of focus. And if you can draw the games out, especially on a busy map like Veranda, it will take its mental toll. Stamina is a thing, especially if the match goes long. So I think occasionally you got to make them work for these a little bit more, and it might pay dividends in the last few games.
That is a very good point.
And Kaylee's going to do the same thing, I think. He's going to draw this game out a little bit. He might be pretty active, but I don't think he's going to make it as easy on Opie as Opie is making it on him right.
Opens with that perfect distance at the window flirt there, 32%. Exactly the number you want to try to remain as inconspicuous as possible while still lining yourself up for the 3 flirt on whites.
Yeah, and by the way, you'll notice Opie is not highlighting for statues. He likes to highlight for completes. Inspect completes, which works, except that it means that he's offloading a lot onto his memory if you got a lot of one-visit partygoers.
Very true. And Kaylee, taking a slow start to the game once again, is chasing seduction target here a little bit. Does get nice and snuggly with her, though, for this next flirt, which is kind of required, especially now that he's gotten a white test on the second one, which brings us up to 66%, so we absolutely have to get close on the last one.
Yeah, Opie's just wisely pretty much conceding that. Where he's putting most of his focus is on the Ambassador and Purloin. And I think that's usually pretty safe. Most of the time, if you just really focus on Bug and Purloin, barring the odd bad luck with occlusion, you're going to be able to cover most mission completes.
Well, Kaylee picks up a fingerprint from the green book, and he is staring down a statue where another one is available. I think he's just going to go right there and pick up the fingerprint as well as his first inspect. And he wanted to get 2 here, but Andrew Ryan wasn't having it.
Yeah, that's not going to work. But I think it's a little risky to be so aggressive about it, because if you space the fingerprints out on veranda or library, those kind of venues, it's really hard to catch them, especially when I mentioned that memory offload thing earlier. Fingerprint's the way to go, but by doing it so quick, much more likely you're going to get caught.
This is very true, and that might have just happened to Kaylee because the highlight does come off. And as you were saying, he doesn't generally highlight for the first statue visit. We're under 2 minutes now as Kaylee steps in for his final flirt here.
Yeah, this is such a busy party, though. There's a lot of movement. Look at all these highlights. So Kaylee doesn't realize it, but there's a decent chance if he can, like, sneak in a green purloin or something, he's very likely to induce a civilian shot.
This is true. There's a lot going on here. Minute and 30 left to play. We've got 2 completions and an inspect. We do have the highlight, but there are a lot of those to go around. Kaylee is not in a bad spot here.
And I wonder if he's thinking BB, inspect, swap, minute left. Maybe they won't be watching for it too closely.
We shall see.
Inspect swap on that back statue set, so you have to loop all the way around and give up everything on the left, especially if it includes the ambassador and the guest list. That is hard to do.
Well, the double agent's not playing nice, so I don't think he's going to go for the swap here. Just grab the inspects, but
No!
a bad shot
There it
comes
is.
off.
Wow.
You were saying there was a lot going on in that party, and there was just a little bit too much for Opie to hold the shot on.
Yeah, and the advantage is given back. You're still tied. You're not down, so not too bad. But you've now split the set. But remember, this was Kaylee's set, and he's split it.
That is true.
That's a big one. Yeah, so now we're going to go on to the second set. There's going to be another Softail variant. There's going to be Taen. Taen is so random sometimes that even if you are one of the best Taen players, at least according to the Taen tournament, where Opie Wrights was the runner-up, it's going to be hard to rely on a 2-0, but he might be at the point where it's either going to be overtime or a 2-0 like that. But the only other map he gets to do that on is the Softail variant, which obviously had a lot of success on with Terrace. But yeah, I think that game, he had pretty good control of it for a while. But the nature of the highlighting strategy and a venue that busy is that sometimes you're just going to have too many suspects and have to remember too many things.
Well, you got to remember, Kaylee said this himself. The problem with going for the Taen set is at the end of it, you got to pay the piper with that library.
Yeah. Again, I think the library reputation is outsized to the results. He's very good at it, to be sure. But I'd rather face him sometimes on library than I would on veranda, based on past results at least. So, yeah, you do have to pay the piper. Put it this way, you probably want to be at least tied heading into library.
This is very true.
So we're probably going to have a really good idea of what's going to happen before that. Looks like they're talking about the venue order right now.
Yeah.
So we'll find this out pretty soon. I'm not sure what that shot was for. I guess someone who just could have been done. Willing to credit Kaylee with quite a bit on veranda. But I think, in retrospect, maybe not super confident about the fingerprint or just didn't think it was enough. This is a problem for Opie Wrights, though. He basically always shoots. Taen's going to be first, by the way. Wow.
Yeah. Opening it up with Taen. This is a very, very difficult map for snipers in general, especially those who try to camp, which, as we know, is Crazy Kaylee's wheelhouse. This is absolutely the best chance Opie has, or anyone has really, of picking up a lead against Crazy Kaylee.
Yeah, and this game in particular, right here, he's still got a lot of options, if he loses it, but this is one of the most important games probably of the entire set.
Opening up with that close white flirt, as is standard operating procedure for spies around the world.
Yep, pretty much. And on Taen, there's no reason not to, especially with the ambassador out front. By the way, that's one way you can get unlucky as spy, is if the ambassador hangs out at windows a lot.
Look at who the ambassador is as well. It's Smallman.
Yeah, you're leaning into it. Obviously, you like to have him in the party, but having him as ambassador is pretty freaking brutal. Opie, though, not in a great place for Bug. Kaylee keeping an eye on that. I don't know if I would take it if I were... There it is.
Well, he got it. It was I don't know. Like, Kaylee, you could tell he was looking for it, but I don't think he saw it.
I don't know.
He does get a highlight there, so he's certainly suspicious.
And so does Wheels. I think what Kaylee's doing here is he's highlighting people for very plausibly missed bugs. Now, there's going to be a lot of those eventually, but maybe he's just highlighting the ones that are particularly good, and one of them's just been knocked out.
Yeah, that's a big... It was such a good contact for everything except for the fact that it knocked out Wheels.
Well, I think the SDA, were they even in? Because Kaylee assumed real and low-lit several people, I think.
Oh, that's true. I wasn't paying attention. I just assumed he was.
Well, so they usually are, is the crazy thing. I think the conversations were almost full. Maybe 2 people were out, but one of them was the SDA, and that is really going to narrow the party. If he goes to center statues now, I think he'd die.
Oh man, Opie, so much of this game he's doing right. It's just not lining up for him so far. It's
Kaylee,
far from over, but it's a difficult situation.
Kaylee's making some assumptions about how people normally play Taiyan, and they are, so far, correct. Opie, in particular, has some pretty strong tendencies on this. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the next game, too, where they really come into play. But so far, again... I don't think I would do that if I were him. You've got plenty of time left. You need 1 flirt and then 1 of any other number of missions. And I feel like at this point, given that what Kaylee has said publicly about Taiyan, I don't think Opie's going to want to go to statues. I think he's going to want to try to do one of those impossible to see purloins after the flirt is done.
I think you're right. Minute and 5 left on the clock. Ambassador's getting snuggly, and Opie doesn't want any part of that.
It's going to be statues after all. He does not like that ST being uncooperative. Nope, side statue, but it is a fingerprint.
It's a fingerprint on the side statue. So evidence is starting to build up against Opie here. There's one other highlight in the party.
Yeah, it's not good, and he has not been moving around nearly as much as Opie has either.
Stepping back in to finish the flirt here.
I think he's really going to look for a fingerprint instead of an inspect.
I think so.
And it's going to be that book, isn't it? He's going to wait and try to do that book. I think Kaylee will get him. This is a big moment. Here we go.
Here it is. No, he just goes for the briefcase!
Wow. I don't think it would have mattered. I think they both happened right in front there.
Yeah. I don't think it would have mattered. I think you're right, but Crazy Kaylee picking up the game on Taiyan from the sniper side. Opie played a good game there.
Yeah.
It just didn't line up for him.
He played an excellent game, but he had to get his fingerprints almost back-to-back. The only thing separating them was entering a conversation and talking with 6 seconds, which is more suspicious. So it was 3 or 4 suspicious things to end the game, only 2 highlights. Basically, Kaylee decided to go all out on a couple of assumptions, and both of them were right.
As much as Opie played a good game of Spy there, Kaylee played a very good game of Sniper on Taiyan. And now Crazy Kaylee is on the Spy side of Taiyan for the lead.
White time ad. Let's see if we get a reaction. Nothing yet.
Oh, the bad entry, though!
It doesn't look too bad on Taiyan.
Especially because he redirected to the briefcase.
Yeah, let's see. It's hard. I mean, you can think you have a good sense of pathing, but there are so many weird stops and bumps and bug paths and everything else.
Gets the bug off. I don't think that briefcase was a legal briefcase. It was really close, but it's so hard to tell on this map.
Yeah, I think that was another kind of like questionable split-second decision, kind of like when we saw the little problem with the potential misclick on the BB on Ballroom. I think maybe what happened there is, you had the error, and he thought, well, if I turn this into briefcase shenanigans, it looks a little better. That's going to knock out 3 people, by the way, including a statue visitor, that banana bread.
That's true. He knows he's very visible here, so being a white test contact was actually very helpful to him there as the ambassador sidled up next to him, and he could just display very openly that he wasn't doing any bug.
Now the Amba is being very nice by picking up a side statue, so if you want to do a fingerprint, you don't have to risk a center statue visit, and I think that's going to be the plan. Dare him to remember the fingerprint, try to finish the flirt. With that time ad, you've got plenty of time.
Oh, Seduction walks away from him. We've still got the 48% from that first one, but 48 is not enough for 2 flirts.
No, it's not. And Kaylee's not done yet, so if he does suspect him for that time ad, and remember, there was nobody else at Windows, Opie would theoretically still be able to get him, but I'm worried that he's actually behind.
Yeah, I think so. I think Kaylee's in a very good spot. Second fingerprint has come off. There's the highlight. Kaylee doesn't even try for any inspect.
Now, if he doesn't shoot him for the next talk, that's very significant because as far as we know, he could be done with 48%. It's going to lose the flirt. He needs
Oh
2
my
flirts
God.
anyway, though. Now, the thing is, though, again, Opie writes could not be confident that flirt is not done with the talk is the thing. So the fact that he hasn't shot yet is really significant. I think the only way Kaylee loses this is if he has to chase that seduction target all around.
I think you're right. He's still got 2 minutes to play, so there's plenty of time. This is going to be such a hard shot for Opie to take. How do you win this?
You just have to. Well, I mean, I think if you were going to shoot him, you would have shot him already. Again, you need to get lucky. The seduction target has to bail, and he has to chase.
82% on the flirt, minute and 35 left to play. There's so much time. He can just timer flirt right now, and even if the seduction target bails at the last second, he's still comfortable.
I think what we're seeing here is that Kaylee is going really hard on fingerprints, and Opie is just not quite tracking them enough. Not quite well enough.
It almost felt like one of those early rush, and then when the sniper doesn't have enough to shoot for, you just coast into the finish line with the flirts.
Yeah, a little bit, but that second fingerprint, that wasn't there that long. Yeah, this is probably going to be that's really unfortunate. It just comes out of fingerprints. Even in the veranda game, he obviously didn't really notice the fingerprints that much, or didn't put enough stock in them. It's just missing the fingerprints. You have to credit the bug. There's a time ad early, talking during BB, all that stuff. He knows he's not done with inspects, but he just obviously missed a print.
And crazy Kaylee sweeps Taeyen.
Yeah, that's a little rough. It was all just game plan there, daring Opie to catch the fingerprints, which he didn't. And I think that might be 4 in a row. Is that right?
I think so. Kaylee has a lot of momentum behind him here, and Opie needs to make something big happen on pub.
Yeah, and this is actually, of all the 3-5 variants, I would say the hardest to get your spy win on.
It may very well be.
I like this, though. Turn off bug, lean into the frame, give AI's chance to finish fingerprint or inspect. And leave Purloin in your back pocket.
That's a very good way to do things, because if anyone finishes missions, they're going to get shot, whether it's Opie or not.
Yeah. I understand that bug is a great mission. It requires so much attention, and on a lot of setups, I would want to keep it on. But I think on pub, against a sniper who's very good at catching bugs, it actually makes sense to turn it off.
And once more, Opie starting things off with the close white flirt, and then a white time ad at that window. Does Kaylee see it?
Terrible. No,
we're getting low lights.
No, that's really bad. You don't even need it. I mean, so I get the logic. He's saying if I get away with a time ad against Kaylee, if I get away with a time ad, the odds that AI is complete goes way up.
Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is hopefully he's not watching for the time ad early, and it'll give so much more opportunity for AI to finish. But Kaylee is very good at watching for time ads. It's another hard tell that you don't have to do. So
while it's not as easy maybe as on some venues to catch the time adder red-handed, it's actually way easier than most to get a lot of lowlights, because everybody outdoors like that, you can just lowlight like mad.
Absolutely. And now, even though we're already on 68% on the flirt, with 3 minutes and 5 left to play, look at this party. It's down to 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's that tiny little window on the right.
Fake contact, I think, had the suspected double agent in.
Yeah, that's not great. He doesn't realize it, but instead of trying to make it so that a lot of AIs can complete, he's down to needing just Teal to do it, and I'm not even sure that would be enough.
Oh boy, here we go. There's the flirt done, but I don't know if it's gonna matter.
I don't either. I don't think Opie has any confident way to assume that Teal is the person he has to frame either. For banana bread purposes. Like right now would be the time.
Yeah, I think Opie is just going to very obviously do absolutely nothing at all and hope for the best. I think that's been his game plan the whole time, which means if Teal does go to statues, then maybe.
Yeah, you're going to need to get that fake in. It's going to have to be at a good time, and he has no way of knowing. Here's the thing, by the way. even if he delegates to the right person, the fact that he's the one walking up to her, that alone is going to be enough for Kaylee to shoot for. Again, that's assuming that he's not even sure who did it between Seek and Teal. Much more likely that he has a leaning towards the actual time.
It is going to be Teal, it looks like, which
All
is
right. He
either...
might be
This is either brilliant awareness or brilliant luck, but either way, I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough because he's the one who came to her. Even if he nails, the talk or the timing or whatever, the BB helps. This is getting a little more interesting. I still think it's a long shot, but he's making the most of this frame attempt, and they both leave.
Well. I think Kaylee's absolutely going to be watching this like a hawk.
Yeah, I think he's going to shoot Opie too, because Opie's the one who went to him, seemed to have more control over it, and my guess is, again, he probably doesn't have it down to 50-50. It's probably more like 75-25 about that time ad. It'll be immediate, I think, once this happens to Seek.
I think so.
It didn't happen. It didn't take in time.
It didn't take? Oh
Wow.
My gosh.
And we've got 50 seconds left. What's Teal going to do? Oh, she has a drink now, too, so if you were hoping she goes to statues, you've ruined that.
I like how it still says mission win pending, even though it's not anymore.
Yeah, there is a slight bug with that, with the spectation, by the way. It doesn't come up very often. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just goes to statues and takes a shot.
I really don't like the time ad there. I think if you have a sniper who doesn't have a reputation for catching time ads really well, that's fine. And I don't mind leaning into the 50-50. I just think at that point, unless you time the time ad perfectly so that it really is 50-50 and he's not sure who did it, I think you just want to give AIs as many opportunities to complete as they can without giving him those lowlights.
After the time ad, Opie played an amazing game there. It was too much to overcome. And now Crazy Kaylee up 3-6 on the spy side of Pub. Opie has to win out to force overtime.
Yep, this is, well, he's got two, yeah, he's got a sniper game here first, which certainly helps. It's really going to be about, can he win that next spy game that he really needs to on Library? That's going to be the question. But first, you can't blow it here, because if an AI completes, and there's one at statues already, do you shoot or not? That's going to be the question. But yeah, this is Winter Cup Finals point for Kaylee.
Man, Crazy Kaylee is on fire with these action tests right now. Another 51% flirt to open the game.
Now, they don't matter too much on the 3-5s or the 10s or anything like that. They're nice to have. They let you plan, but those are the kind of setups where you don't really need them that often. However, on the 3-5 variants, we've talked about this in some of the other Winter Cup casts, if you 2-flirt right to start and then BB and go to statues and there's 2 minutes left on the clock or something, that is a much harder shot to take, even though you could be done.
Absolutely. Well, there's the 2-flirt. Where's the double agent going? She's going inside.
That ruins it, but here's the thing. When you do 2-flirt on those 3-5 variants, that's your decision. Do I just hurry up and rush this thing and say, go ahead? Do you think I 2-flirted? Are you really confident about that? He might go to statues first.
He does indeed go to statues first. Big highlight, but it's a good situation.
Yeah. And Kaylee hopefully is paying at least enough attention to see that there have been 2 other statue visitors. He really wants to wait, if he can, and get at least one of them in with that banana bread, force him to make that coin flip.
Absolutely. Double agent is at the bar, and along with a lot of other people, so who knows when she's getting free.
Yeah, and you've got him about a minute and a half, and you're going to try... See, here's what he's doing now. What Kaylee's doing right now is he is building his AI credential resume for the banana.
Yeah.
Because you have to wait anyway, right? So might as well. Now that the DA's in, fine, go kill a little time. I'm not sure if that idol was dead on or not, but Kaylee's going to go kill a little time. And look at this. Both of the other statue visitors are in there with him. This is perfect.
Incredible. How does this happen?
Sorry, RNG. I mean, that part. Obviously, he can choose to be in with one of them, but the fact that the DA entered on their own with 2 others is insane. Rocker splits and does the 360, and I don't know if a shot's coming off.
Kaylee on the river in Pub gets the win over Opie Wright 7-3.
I mean, I would feel worse for Opie there if, for example, he had shot someone and they were the wrong person, because he's in a very tough position there. 3 people could be done in the same conversation. The fact that he didn't shoot anyone, though, means that that luck probably didn't help Kaylee as much as we thought it was about.
This is true. That said, though, Opie put up a strong showing.
Yeah, no, he absolutely did, and He started off 2-0 though.
I know.
And then lost, 7 of 8. That's not something you can afford to do. I think, really, I mean, obviously he did what he had to on Terrace, gave away a couple games otherwise, just a little too aggressive on Sniper, which is something I know he wrestles with. He is a very aggressive sniper, and when he's on, when it works, it looks brilliant, right? That's the way it is. But every now and then you give a game away, and we certainly saw a little bit of that today. But it's obvious the big turning point was losing both games on Taeyen. Kaylee making big assumptions that were both correct, that made the Spy game very losable, where it otherwise would have been very winnable. And then Opie on maybe one game, possibly two, just not tracking those fingerprints efficiently enough.
Yeah, the way Kaylee played Taeyen was just huge. That was the biggest part of this match.
Right. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Because anytime you game plan like that, it works, but the question is, was it going to, right? Was it a risk? Was it a calculated risk? Was it a smart risk? Was it a risky risk that happened to work out? I'm not really sure. I will say that OP does have some very strong tendencies, so banking on a couple of those things might have been fine, especially when you consider opportunity costs. If you're Kaylee, you're saying, well, I'm taking some big risks on Taeyen, but I'm taking risks on a map where there's a really good chance I'm going to lose anyway if I'm not careful, even if I play really well and don't take risks. So the risk-reward ratio gets skewed, and it incentivizes someone like Kaylee to play a little different.
That's true.
And Kaylee is in the finals of the first Winter Cup.
Crazy Kaylee. This is something people expected, to see Crazy Kaylee in the grand finals here, but it was not an easy road.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Opie definitely probably made him sweat there a little bit in the beginning, but, obviously kept his cool, kept it going, and really came through when it mattered most.
And luckily, next up, we have another very exciting set. Both of the bears in the community finally get a chance to face off.
Yeah, so I'll just step on something I was going to do. I was joking that as soon as this ended before SCL, I wanted to have a fun little joke tournament called the Bear Invitational that was going to be just one match between these two, and then I was going to send them a little bear head trophy and all that goofy stuff. Then they met in the tournament, and I realized I should probably just do it this way. Unfortunately, that means I don't get to employ any of my fun ideas, like any spy win is salmon is worth 2, for example. Don't get to do that. Instead, we're just going to play a nice normal set, but we do get to see which bear is the biggest.
Oh man, this is going to be a whole lot of fun for a whole different reason.
Yeah. And it looks like we're going to start on Veranda.
We are starting on Veranda, but keep in mind, this isn't just because Bear. This is also to figure out who goes up against Kaylee in the grand finals of the first SpyParty Winter Cup.
Yeah, it's not just that. I mean, I would say this is slightly more important. Obviously, the Bear Trophy, far more valuable than the Winter Cup title, for which there is no hardware, unfortunately. But there's a lot at stake in this match and the next one, for sure.
All right, starting things off, it's going to be Lazy Bear opening as the spy on Veranda, a Bear Rar as the sniper. Wodar, count us in.
Yeah, sorry. I need to fix the scoreboard because I'm bad at
fair
this
enough.
job.
That's fine. So we'll just talk very briefly about these two. Lazy Bear, the winner of the Challenger tournament in SCL4, which was stacked. So that is a big, big win. Don't let the Challenger name fool you. There were some excellent players there for sure. A Bear Rar has hardly played competitive at all. He was a sub in the Summer Cup and did fine there, but has barely played anything, no pun intended. He's coming up at around 5,000 games, though. Beat yours truly in the group stages. Not a lot of book on him. There's a handful of streams, but very few replays. So he's a bit of an unknown quantity. So for people who like to prep for their matches, like myself and a lot of other players still in the Winter Cup, very hard to do against him. Leaves a lot of potential to surprise people.
Well, let's see how these two face up against each other. Lazy Bear starting things off on the spy. Count us in, Wodar.
All right. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, quite a matchup. Two different bears. On one side, a grizzled veteran. On the other, his polar opposite. It's going to be pandemonium.
God. It begins.
It begins, and it probably won't end.
Oh, no. All right, well, we didn't get that flirt we usually like to start with, so instead, we're going to chat up the ambassador to open the game.
Yeah, pretty standard, certainly.
Ambassador does not approve.
No, Ambassador's not a fan.
Very, very slow start from Lazy Bear so far.
Well, he is lazy.
You're not wrong. This is an accurate statement. Starting things off with a fingerprint of all things. That doesn't usually get to happen. The briefcase does get successfully returned. A little bit of a weird path against the ambassador there as we finally step in to get our first flirt at the exact opposite bookcase than we originally tried to.
Yeah, so you're gonna be a little suspicious for a lot of stuff here early on. Just being at 2 shelves on Veranda, where it can be very easy to miss microfilm, especially if it's an animation transfer, you might want to lean into that now because you might be suspected of the microfilm regardless.
But keep in mind, Lazy Bear never actually got into the blue bookcase pad.
And the end of red.
Oh, yes, good point.
Contact comes off, so lots of progress coming in pretty quick here. We've got the contact, half a flirt, and a fingerprint. Just under 2.5 minutes to play.
Does knock out 2 highlights, however.
That is very true.
But not many overall. That's pretty darn good for Veranda. There's a lot of activity on that side. It's very dense over there.
Definitely keeping a pretty good eye on the party as he steps back in, hoping for a 2 flirt with seduction target here, and does hit it. That's another mission complete.
So here's the point. It's Veranda. You might want to lean into the rush now a little bit if you can get a quick fingerprint. I don't know. Getting that 2 flirt is really big. There's still 2 minutes left, and you're not a big suspect. Smallman's on the far right statue, by the way.
Well, opted not to go for the purloin when he had that chance, so probably not going to rush too hard. Does come all the way around to the blue side of the map to pick up a pair of inspects, though.
And this certainly signals an intent to finish. I think what he's going to try to do is he's going to do all the soft tells and just try to find good timing on one hard tell near the end.
Interestingly enough, one cycles the statue and only picks up a single inspect while he's there. Now, switching out with his twin at the front statues.
Yeah, tagged in. Really, it's the twin tag team. I actually like the single. If you're going to do a single cycle at either one, do the one on the far back right like that, because there's just a slightly larger chance that you're not going to be seen there at all.
And gets the fingerprint at the same time. We're 4 missions down. 50 seconds to play. We've got bug available. We've got swap available.
I think a purloin on the far left near the green bookshelf might be the way to go here.
I think so, especially if we don't get a really nice lineup on the ambassador.
Yeah, bug is
ideal. It looks like he's being guarded pretty carefully.
Bug is ideal if you're not seen. It's totally off screen. It's totally off screen.
Oh, the bug! It was
totally
perfect.
off screen.
It
He's gonna win this. What a game!
Bear.
Oh my goodness! What a game! That 4 soft tails, well spaced out. And then in a totally invisible bug at the end, and the reason he got away with the bug is because he did all 4 soft tails without becoming a suspect. That was the key.
Yeah.
He was not. If one of your suspects in the last minute of Veranda takes that kind of path near the ambassador, you are changing your camera angle and you're zooming in. The fact that that didn't happen means he wasn't a suspect, even though he had 4 missions done.
What a beautiful game of Spy from Lazy Bear on Veranda. Let's see if a Bear Rar can answer back.
Roar back at him. Yeah. Well, a Bear Rar, an excellent spy. Yeah, I heard that. Okay. All right.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
I think you're hurting our host.
I'm not sorry.
All right. Well, starting things off, quick flirt and go, but it takes a little bit longer to get that flirt than you would normally like to stay there in that situation, and the highlight does come off.
Yeah, Lazy Bear on that, but it's Veranda. You're gonna have a lot of highlight.
Lining up for an early contact as well. Just waiting for a few more people to get in conversation.
Yeah, you want to be very careful. You just saw 2 people at stat, so at the very least, you should be aware that those 2 are, slightly more suspicious. You really got to get a good banana bread here.
Yeah, decides not to take the one he had lined up. Instead, picks up the second flirt, up to 68%. Does stop talk right after, interestingly enough.
Yeah, you can get away with that. Not only are you on veranda, but you're on the back of the conversation there with people in front of you. If someone wants to camp the occasional stop talk, especially when you're interrupted half the time anyway, on veranda, I say more power to him. You're going to miss a lot of other stuff.
Stepping into blue bookcase. Book gets marked, so Lazy Bear actively marking books.
Yeah, and one of the tricky parts about blue is sometimes you look over and there's just no one else over there. You get a nice clear view, you don't risk that much, and you have to walk so far. That's why people love that green to red or red to green book cheese.
Absolutely. And the bearer does take that blue book all the way over to the other side of the map to pick up this next flirt. I don't know if we're in range. Oh, and we're not in range. It's 97%. That hurts a little bit.
That hurts a lot. And what else hurts is that if you are planning, I think if you put this book on the wrong shelf, you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
Or at least with a decent chance of it. But if you put it all the way back in blue, suddenly time is an issue because the flirt isn't done and nothing else is. No inspects. There's one mission, but there's less than 2 minutes left. If you're going to walk...
To green. He's taking it to green. He just drops it and steps into statues. I love that play.
Wow. It's all...
Straight up swaps it.
It's all or nothing.
God, that couldn't have been intentional, right?
I don't see how. I don't think anyone had been there recently, so he's really just hoping that Lazy Bear is confused or figures, oh god, I must have missed somebody there or something and overthink. In theory, Lazy Bear should be in control of this game right now.
But Lazy Bear does very much seem confused. Actually, when he saw him at that statue, neutral lit him, and then went, wait a second, something's going on here, and highlighted him again. So Lazy Bear isn't nearly as on top of this as he'd like to be, as a Bearar finally steps in to finish this flirt.
Yeah, look, it's not feasible to catch the swap fade or anything like that on veranda every single time, but it really needs to be narrowed down to at least a few people when you're sure that swap has gone off.
Seduction bails, but he hits a green test on the Purloin. What a crazy game!
I can't believe it. I can't believe this might work, this rush of aggression.
There's the flirt getting done.
Who's going to take it? It's all lowlights in this part of the venue. It's all lowlights here. If one of them takes it...
Oh, man.
He's got a beat on the list.
It's right on camera. It's right there. I don't think he saw the fade.
No, he
didn't. I don't think he saw
the
fade. It was so much there. He's got the shot lined up, but
you got to do it.
Look like he wants to take it.
He's thinking.
And, oh my God! Bearar fires back in dramatic fashion.
I hate to do it this way, but I have to think that was lost more by Lazy Bear than won by a bear. I don't know if the swap was intentional, but whether it was or not, he still had to finish another hardtail after that. There's no earthly reason he should have been able to get away with it, except Lazy Bear just isn't confident about it. Maybe he's worried he missed someone. He did leave that statue relatively unguarded. He looked at the middle of the venue for a very long time. Maybe he was worried that someone got in and out really.
Oh my God. I'm not even going to pretend that I understand what happened in that game, but we're tied at 1 to open the set, heading into Ballroom. Any 4 of 8.
All right. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I'm going to say a little bit of unforced error there, but it's one of the arguments for do missions as a null hypothesis and dare them to beat you, because sometimes they doubt themselves, they miss something. Aggression can be its own justification, no matter how crazy it looks in the moment.
Lazy Bear, stepping back on the horse on the spy side, gets a 50% flirt to open up the game. He could just timer flirt. This is still in range.
I like that in this analogy there's a bear riding a horse. I would love to see that.
Yes.
The bear gets back on the horse. Don't feel very good for the horse right now.
Oh my God. Okay. This is just never going to stop. I have accepted that now.
No, I have a list. So we're gonna get through
this. That's a list. All right. Well, set up for the second seduce here. Oh my God. And hits the 2 flirt.
Yeah, big deal. Gives you a lot of options. Again, the rush becomes more interesting when something like this happens.
Absolutely, and it looks like he's stepping right on over to. Oh, I thought this was going to be contact, but no, it was a briefcase that didn't wind up happening. Now stepping in to the window to eye up the party a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you want to do on Ballroom. It's not quite Tayan, but there's going to be a lot of possible bugs if you're not watching it as closely as you could be. So you're going to want to be keeping an eye on that. Oh, I'm pretty sure that was just seen. That was just seen.
That hurts. It didn't even take.
Oh goodness. I think this game's going to end real quick.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're in a bad situation here, Lazy Bear.
I think Lazy Bear's about to put the die in Ursa die.
And the end of red.
That might be enough, but if he's got a really good mission count, all this is early enough that he might wait for one more mission.
I mean, Lazy Bear, in a situation like this, you just have to assume you got away with it, and that's what Lazy Bear's doing.
Yeah, so what's interesting here is Aberar, a lot of people are wondering why is he not shot yet, right? It's been a couple minutes. You've heard the banana bread go off. You saw a possible bug, certainly. So I think what's going on here is that Abear is actually, compared to most snipers, just really good at tracking mission progress, especially when he's tunneling on someone, when he has a suspect who he's trying to track. I think in this case, he is tracking him, and he's just very confident that missions are not done.
Yeah, I think Aberar has to assume that bug took, even though it didn't.
Right.
So,
but he's still safe, assuming that there's no fourth mission.
That, however, was quite a nice bug.
That was a fantastic bug. The problem is, he did the other one first.
Yeah, he's already pegged for having a bug done, unfortunately. And look at the timer. There's 5 seconds. So even though we do get this purloin off, and the list wasn't visible at the time...
It's still, yep, doesn't matter. All over it. And here's another thing, too. Not only do you get, the overtime beeps there, but there's nobody at statues. And as we know, if you're not sure in overtime, sometimes it makes sense to just shoot someone near a mission site, and statues are a very popular choice. Yeah. So I don't think it was going to work regardless, but all the ways in which that sort of aggressive maneuver normally works were not present.
Interestingly enough, we never really found out whether or not Aberar saw that bug.
Yep, it's possible he just saw the purloin. You're right. He might have missed it. I mean, that's the thing when you do two hardtails. What's interesting there is that the spy's game sense is crucial, because if they think I might have gotten away with both of those, the attempt and the bug, they probably go to center statues and maybe force a very difficult shot out of it. But if they're worried all game, oh God, he saw it, now I just have to play it cool, or it's going to be very hard for me to finish, then you rush something else. You do a hardtail instead of the center statue visit like that, because you don't have to survive as long, and that maybe inadvertently gets you killed.
Well, whatever wound up happening in that game, Aberar is now stepping in to the spy side of things as Lazy Bear picks up the rifle.
All right. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Aberar does start things off at center statue, but unless the Bling Twin 1 cycles here, he's not going to be able to get...
Okay, normally when you swap immediately, it's A, not after a couple of inspects, and B, not a green.
I assume what happened there was he was just on muscle memory for 3 inspects, and because there wasn't a 3rd inspect available, he swapped.
Are you saying there's a chance here that he might win a swapping accidentally?
Oh, that bug!
Doesn't matter, okay.
Yep, okay, all right,
okay.
Cool.
Well, now we'll never know.
2-2.
Now we'll never know. For a second, I thought, oh my goodness, are swaps really going to win him another game? But no. Lazy Bear seems to have settled in a little bit this time, at least.
Oof.
Yep.
That was beautiful.
It was something. The interesting thing about that game to me is that Aberar has shown so much aggression as spy that there's a real possibility now of slow playing into a civ shot later if he times it well. Something to look out for.
Okay. Well, now that bug happened, it's time to step in to terrorists, with Lazy Bear on the spy side of things and a Bearer on the sniper.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Smallman is an SDA. The dangers of not making them your seduction target, I'm afraid.
That is very true. No, Smallman is the double agent.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I forget that you know the double agent in this one, but the thing is, the point is they cannot be the spy, and that always hurts.
It does. Although it was very much avoidable in setup.
Yeah. KDA, known double agent on this one.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Once again, both statue missions taken off, so the only suspicious thing to do at the statues is pick up a fingerprint, of which there was not one there. So Lazy Bear just spends the first portion of the game being as inconspicuous as possible before stepping in for the second flirt.
Yep, and that's a highlight on Alice. That could either be for the fingerprint or for the possible purloin. We'll have a better idea now when we see Teal here in a second go as well.
Oh boy! We're at 62% on the flirt, which is unfortunate.
It is, but it's a fine place to be because you're probably going to get a chance to finish any. It really doesn't matter that much. You just can't four usually.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to contact the double agent. Yeah, there it is. We did it.
And it knocks out the fingerprinter in Alice and 2 bar visitors.
Oof. That's rough.
Yeah. Now, Smallman does leave just afterwards, but if the sniper is confident they saw the timing, it won't be any benefit. Let's see if Teal gets a low light for that redirect. Let's see.
It was a pretty good redirect on the briefcase.
Well, you also don't need to go fishing for lowlights right now. You can kind of just keep it in the back of your head, because you really just don't have that many people to monitor, down to 5.
That is true. That's bold. I like that positioning.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I'm just as likely to think of it as AI as spy. And you're just probably not tracking flirts. You just don't need to. It's still not the optimal use of your attention.
Yeah. So 96% on the flirt because of that bit of distance we gave ourselves earlier in the game. That was unnecessary, Lazy Bear. You didn't have to do that.
Yep, we're about to get our second mission done, though, but we're going to be into the beeps with a third mission yet to come, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to finish here. Alice knocked out again with that early fingerprint.
The ambassador gets snuggly, though, is so dangerous. He's staring it down and not able to get any bug off. 15 seconds, it has to be over. No, he just took the shot and was too worried about the bug, and luckily, it was the correct person anyways.
Yeah, maybe just for the talking. He did talk kind of quick going in there. And when you only have a few people left, that it becomes shockingly easy to notice that kind of thing sometimes. But yeah, you also have to say, you know what, no matter how good I think I am at catching bug, sometimes you just miss them. And this person could be done.
That's very true. Lazy Bear and Bear are really trading blows back and forth throughout this entire set so far. First, spy sweep, then a sniper sweep. Let's see if a Bear can break the trend or if Lazy Bear on the sniper will stay level.
They're really going at each other with their bare arms.
Is that even a saying? I don't know. 3,
2, 1, playing it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Track.
You can't get mad at me and then say something like that.
I think he's trying to retaliate.
Yeah, okay. And a lot of activity. Normally, you have a lot of flirt cover and full conversations early on, but none here. A Bear are going to the same statue that Lazy Bear did to try to burn off suspicion at the start of the game last time.
It was like everyone opened the game by vacating the center of the map.
Yep. But the inspect is totally different this time because that mission is on. Bug is off.
Interesting choice to remove Bug.
It also means that statue visit early on means something completely different last game.
This is very true. A Bear are now stepping in to the bar.
I don't know if this will be
here.
Yeah. Don't know if that'll be a purloin or not. We'll see what the options are. Hopefully paying attention to other suspects here.
And finally stepping in for this first flirt with just under 2 minutes to play.
And Alice, it looked like she was going to go to statues, but no, it was a briefcase instead. But you'll take it. This is AI's doing things.
Good pickup from the flirt there, though. 51% off the first one, which is nice.
And you know he's watching Alice very closely right now, both of them.
Absolutely.
But sometimes the AIs will tease you. They'll do an inspect, they'll do a fingerprint, and then nothing else. The whole game.
Absolutely. Minute and 15 to play as we step in for our second flirt. If we could hit a green test here, that would be very nice. There's the delegate. There's the white test on the flirt, and the delegate does not come off in time.
No, and it was going to Alice too, I think, which was really interesting. He definitely has a sense of who the suspects are here. They're both on the same page about Alice, basically. Instead, Berar is going to go try to finish without finishing, so to speak. Finish, potentially without the BB from Lazy Bear's perspective. So that's going to be the real moment of truth.
Well, second statue visit. Inspects are done, but there is no contact done. There is no flirt done.
Yeah, that white test right now is really hurting us. And he's going to want to BB with Alice anyway, because even though she hasn't done with fingerprints, as a sniper, sometimes you're going to say, not that inconceivable. Maybe there's a difficult I didn't notice. You might be tempted to shoot. But the DA might not even give us a chance here.
No, he's going full timeout strats, which I don't think you can do without a contact.
He's going to go to the window.
It's going to be the last second green. Does he hit it? He does hit it.
And here comes the pending. It can only be a couple things. It can only be a delegate purling, but no one's going to bar, so knows it or should. And he's got some lowlights out of it. He's got this narrowed down.
Taking a fingerprint? There's no time for this.
I mean, I think he's just trying to act AI-ish. I don't know. Maybe he's going to rush it with that statue over there, but there's no DA. Like, what is this? Flirt and then go to that statue?
We still have 32 seconds to play.
You could go for another green time ad and really mess with him. No, it's going to be a quick window leap dead. He's going to flirt, and I guess he's going to go to that statue. Fingerprint. Insta-talk.
I think the timer's doing weird things because the spy timer's moving really very slowly.
And he's just going to purloin directly. Is he going to overthink this? Oh, no!
No!
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. That shouldn't work. That shouldn't work.
That should not work.
That should not work. I don't get it. I guess he's thinking Pearl's time ads and then delegates. Has she even been to bar recently? Let me see here. She was at bar at 30 seconds, which is actually much longer than it sounds like because of the time ad. I'm not sure if that would have lined up or not. Ooh. Jeez.
Man, that is...
I think that might have been just under the minute thing, but I don't know. I don't know. Aggression for its own sake, man. It works.
I don't think you can hold a purloin from... You can't force pending just by having a delegate in your pocket, right?
No, not that long. No, you have to delegate. You have to actually trigger it. So he must have thought, if he was thinking it through it completely and perfectly thoroughly, that it would have been a green time ad by Pearls into a delegate, like literally at the very end of the timer expiring, like within seconds, like perfectly timed last second delegate. But one thing to keep in mind, I think they're mentioning this in chat a little bit, there's a little, I don't know if you want to call it a bug or not, but sometimes the fade animation will happen after the game registers the take. So it'll seem like a beep beforehand. That's thrown me off. I've actually lost a handful of games that way myself until I learned the hard way like that. That might have been the case here. In this case, it just happens that the person he was next to was one of the people who wasn't low light for the time. And it works. Somehow, improbably, the aggression works again.
Either way, that is a very rough loss for Lazy Bear on our third map. We're halfway done, and the Bearer is up 4-2 as we step into Gallery.
All right. 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Lazy Bears looked really good at Spy, but just a little shaky at Sniper. I feel like he's playing 90% of a good Sniper game, and then just not quite finishing it off.
What happened? We gave the ambassador a hug.
Yeah, a little stutter step. It's not too bad. There's going to be a lot happening on gallery, said and done, but it's just not a good way to start.
It's really not. As far as we can tell, he came out of it okay. Now picking up a briefcase for that first fingerprint. Has the 51% flirt from early in the game, so he's not doing badly.
Yeah, look, it's noticeable, it matters, but like the flirt tracking stuff earlier, it's just, is this really the most efficient use of your resources on gallery to care too much about that?
Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not. If you're Lazy Bear, you've been doing what you need to as Spy. What you're really saying is I need to keep playing well as Spy, force him into some tough shots, especially on a map like Gallery, and just don't let him get away with these things in these little bursts or at the end of these Spy games. That's what you need to do. You really need to shore up your sniper game. You don't really need to change what you're doing as Spy. It's tempting when you're behind to think you need to do everything differently, but you don't. You need to isolate the problem. The problem is not your Spy game right now. Keep playing that way, the way you've been playing.
Well, Lazy Bear picks up a pair of inspects and grabs a highlight for his trouble. Now stepping out to the front conversation to pick up, wanted the flirt.
And
Target was happy about it.
That green test earlier is looking more and more important. Yeah, if you start to head out all the way and your ST leaves on the way on Gallery, that can swing the entire game.
Not a good situation. Might just go for a time ad here. We've got to zoom in. Lazy Bear is theoretically on camera, but it's definitely not where a Bear is looking. The time ad has come off cleanly, I think, and there's no reaction.
Hard to say for sure, but definitely very focused on that Ambo who was in a buggable position for a few seconds.
Now stepping into conversation to pick up a No! Come back! Come back, seduction target! Why do you do this? Alright, we're just gonna have to take this drink, are we? Nope, we're not!
Yeah, this seduction target is making for very difficult targets. This is a very small target, let's say.
This has been rough.
Yeah, this is pretty rough. I don't know if it's going to matter or not. Lazy Bear only has a progress so far, but it really sabotages the game sometimes. Make a point to flirt, you decide you want to flirt, and the SC just keeps moving.
Difficult fingerprint doesn't hit it.
I think that was one of your few ways out. I think now you're going to have to rush. You're going to have to hope someone else finishes. And I just don't see how you're going to get all this done. You have this really nice partial progress here on a number of fronts, but you only have a minute left, even with the timeout.
Yeah, we could have gotten another 2 flirts by this point if she just hung around a little bit longer, and that would have changed the entire face of the game. But with so little time left, he does hit the 2 flirts. So that should be big.
Yeah, the problem is you're still kind of at the mercy of the ambassador. In Gallery, you're likely several good buck opportunities in the game, but you're not likely to necessarily get one within any given minute of the game, especially the last minute where they're watched that much more closely. So you're still at the mercy of the party a little bit here, unless the Amba does something nice like lets you finish inspects and fingerprint at the same time, but that doesn't seem very likely.
It might just be fake contact time.
Oh goodness, is this going to line up? I don't think there's going to be time.
Oh boy.
He's just going to have to be Purloin and BB.
He just contacts, and the shot comes off before he can even grab the drink.
Yeah, so it could be a mix of things. Suspicious of the time ad, the timing is really suspect, and maybe, remember, he's got 1 fingerprint, and there was a difficult fingerprint, so you might say, you know what, I think he could be done with that. And if he did that difficult fingerprint, that would have been the 4th mission. So I think probably partially time ad, but also tracking fingerprints pretty close that game. Also didn't feel like there were many fingerprints available. I think that was an unusually unlucky time to try to fingerprint on that particular gallery.
Well, a Berar up by 3 now. It's 5-2. Lots of momentum starting to roll as a Berar takes the Spy side. This is a really big game for Lazy Bear. He really needs to win this to stay in it, I think.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Playing 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Playing it 2-1-3. Good luck figuring out when I hit play, everybody. Just keeping us on our toes, man. Just keeping us on our toes. Speaking of being on your toes, it's Smallman on Gallery.
Smallman, immediate highlight. That's how you play against Smallman.
Yep, and he's going to go up on his toes to lift the statue.
He actually does, doesn't he?
A
That's
little
great.
bit. I know he does it for the bar purloin, which is a lovely little touch. John Simino, we love you.
Under 3 minutes.
I kind of like the early statue sometimes if you're planning on completing them eventually. You want to let a lot of stuff happen in Canada. It's not ideal. Look, they're going to know you did it. But gallery is one of those venues like veranda or library where sometimes if you do something suspicious in the beginning of the game, after 2 more minutes of just chaos in a busy party, it kind of fades from it.
Stallman has spent so much time directly on camera that he almost got neutral lit.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. You're just not going to be inconspicuous as Smallman. That's not why you play.
Yeah. Well, it grabs a briefcase. There's no fingerprint on it, though.
Yeah, just a lot of wasted time. I guess maybe that's the idea, you know? You try to lose the natural Smallman heat. Normally you're losing heat because you did a mission. In this case, he's losing heat for existing, and there's the bug.
Bug was
Pretty darn hard to see, too. Yeah. It's just a really risky time to bug, but it's out front, so he's just not watching it that closely, even though it's Smallman.
It wasn't an easy bug to spot either.
No.
Like, even if you were looking for it.
But then again, that's the thing. It's Smallman on gallery, so it's the kind of bug you have to credit.
Yeah. Well, back into statues.
And I think it's just going to be a standard finish now. He's just going to say, if you didn't see that bug, are you really going to shoot just Smallman 2 statue visits? Is that all it's going to take for you? Nobody likes to shoot for that. It's nerve-wracking. You might have to. Those are shots you feel you have to take, not shots you like.
Keep in mind, double agent just decided to be kind to us. We don't have that much time left, and he can be hard to contact sometimes, but he's in now.
What's interesting is...
Look at the rest of the party!
It's so many lowlights. It's so many. But you've already done the bug, so take it and you give him the lowlights. I don't know. I think he might be tempted to finish Flirt and go for a purloin, though, and dare him to shoot in 10 seconds in a silent game. Especially, look where he's hiding. Could he even shoot him in 10 seconds? Could he even find him?
Good options. There's the contact.
He
does find him on the shoulder, just barely peeking out. He was waiting for any excuse.
Oh, goodness. So here's the question. Was it a bug thing, or was it just a Smallman hiding thing? Oh, my goodness. Shot him in the rotator cuff. How did he even find that shoulder?
That was impressive.
You know, you don't expect SpyParty to be a game about aim, but in that case, it absolutely was. That was a well-aimed shot. And it keeps the match alive.
All right. So, Lazy Bear holding on. It's 3-5. This is still very comebackable as we step in to Modern.
Wow.
Any 5 of 8.
And you'll take this. If you're a bear and you have a lead, you want venues like Modern where it's just really hard to take both.
I don't think you can call him a bear right now.
that was... I'm laughing too much at that joke. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Did I miss a joke? Really? Jeez.
It's not important. It's
Good.
not important.
All right. So, really, when you think about it, Lazy Bear with that win still just needs the 1 spy win. That's still what they're playing for. It's not out of the realm of possibility. You just got a very important sniper victory. Hopefully, you've tightened up the sniper game a little bit, so you're not going to give it away. But you still need that spy win, and Modern is just not the place for it. Ideally, might take a little bit of luck.
Yeah, this is definitely a tricky map to play as a spy. Oh, that's a good bug! That is a surprisingly good bug.
So, in conversation bugs, if the sniper's really watching, there's going to be a distinct sway. But sometimes, if you time it with the sway of the idle animation, it can be much harder to see. I think that might have been what happened there. It was not very visible, even though it was out front. It also was a totally counterintuitive bug right out front. Who would do that, right? Diamba wasn't in a particularly vulnerable position, but wasn't a particularly exposed one either. They were like in one of those things where it's harder to see the bug, but it feels like it should see, even though it isn't. That was a really gutsy move.
I liked that a whole heck of a lot. And he followed it up with grabbing a fingerprint from the briefcase, and now he's just gotten 51% on the flirt.
Yeah, and I think if you think you've gotten away with that bug, you just need to keep moving. You got to keep moving. You got to get stuff done, and you got to hope the party accommodates a little bit. You got to hope it's not one of those games where you're the only one who could be done with effects or one of the few people who's going to do a real banana bread. You got to just hope the party gives you at least average luck. There's a decent number of suspects, and you just got to make steady progress.
Hanging out in no man's land for a bit just to survey the party and act as inconspicuous as possible. Now setting up for a contact as people start to file into the conversation.
Pretty good one if it takes. Let me see here. Oh, one of the SDAs is out. 2 of the SDAs are out.
Oh,
that
man.
means only 5 people could have done a reel. 5.
That's spooky.
And that's bad luck because there were a decent number of lowlights, but you had 3 other partially filled conversations. You got to think the SDA would be in one of them, maybe that far one near the green bookshelf, maybe. I think there were 3 or 4 people there at the time. But no, one of them is at windows, the other's at bookshelves. We're down to 5 if a bear noticed it.
If a bear noticed it, that's a big if. As we step into the front of the map to try to pick up this next seduction, it's going to be tight. It is a green. It does come off, and that's a 2 flirt with 1:45 to play. 2 missions to go. One of them already half done.
A fingerprint purloin here would be very powerful if you time it well, and if you make sure one of those other BBers perhaps is the one who takes it. Got to really pay attention now.
Here we go. It's coming down to it. He's got a good amount of time behind him. The briefcase is available. Oh, no, didn't win the race to the briefcase, so he's not getting the fingerprint there.
I don't think it's going to hurt you. You still got time, but you're at the point in the game where the AMBA may or may not.
You got to get this delegate out to somebody. You do not want somebody arriving at the bar at an inopportune moment and ruining your game right now.
Plain Twin, by the way, has been into 2 statues in the last 30. But I don't believe one of the 5 possible BBers. That is a much harder thing to notice, though, if you don't make a specific 2 on Modern, who's done a real BB.
Under 50 seconds.
Are we going to have time to delegate that? Oh, that window leap was so
Lots
quick.
of movement.
He's delegating in the right place, though. This is one of the real BBers.
We still need to find a fingerprint, though,
Well,
and the ambassador's really not cooperating.
Except the purloin might trigger a shot regardless, but you're right. You don't want to have to rely on it.
Just gotta wait. Just gotta hope he goes to put back that book. 20 seconds. The time is running so low. The ambassador is really not cooperating. We're just gonna have to do something at the last second here.
The timer expired anyway. He's got a direct purloin.
It's 10 seconds. Everything is falling apart. He's
Can't reset up the
gotta.
time ad. Oh,
He's got-
goodness.
It's green.
Salmon's at Windows 2, and so is Teal. Teal is one of the real BBers again, but I think a bear's got him on this.
Oh,
I
I like that he's just sitting here and owning the fact that, yeah, I was at Windows.
It's going to be that statue. It's going to be that AMBA statue. It's his first statue visit, so it's risky to be at statues, but it's not going to be... What? Is there still a print on that shelf? I hope
The
so.
Apple just put down the book, remember?
Okay,
He had to get
that's
the
right,
book
yeah.
put the-
I completely forgot. Thank you for the reminder. Is this
Here
going
we
to do it,
go.
though? 10 seconds of OT is a long time to think about it.
Is this the wrong book?
He's going to wait. He's going to do it somewhere other than the shelf.
I think that was the wrong book. I think he thought there was a print there and there wasn't.
Oh, my goodness. Nope, there
No,
it is.
there was a print
He
there.
ran out of time!
Ran out of time! He ran out of
wanted to
time
do it
because
at Windows!
He accidentally hit the watch check instead of the print.
Oh, goodness.
No!
I don't... Wodar, please look at the log there. Please take a moment. I need to see this. I don't know if he was going to be able to shoot. Remember, he would have had 10 seconds to think about it, but it really didn't feel like Morgan was a huge suspect. I think it's more likely than not he gets shot, but his odds would have had to be at least decent. Well, look at this. Started fingerprinting book, 0.5. So half a second left. He starts the fingerprint process, which we know takes about a second.
Yeah.
And look, he triggered the watch check at 2 seconds, 0.8. So that's when he wanted to hit that fingerprint.
Yep. Yep.
Looking at the party, there's not many suspects that would have gone shot in overtime. Maybe.
Well, let me see here.
But also, look, Lazy Bear is not in a position where it makes sense to shoot him for overtime.
It's a pretty tough shot. It's a pretty tough shot. I will say that the seduction target, who went to statues twice in the last minute or so, had put down the briefcase about 8 seconds early. The twin. The twin was a possible shot. I don't know if it happens or not, but there was a logical case for shooting the twin there given late activity. Now we will never know. It's hard to imagine he's going to get a better shot than that.
So what, like
Wow.
they would shoot
That
because they finished floating
hurts.
at the very end there then? Because like something has to trigger the overtime beeping, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So it'd be like flooding for the twin.
Maybe. Or well, again, he put down the fingerprint. He put down the briefcase a little before this happened. I'm not sure. It might have been more than 10 seconds. It's very clear.
Well, I mean, like, the sniper's view is at 0000.
Yes.
So no matter what happens, as soon as you finish a mission, beep start. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It depends on what kind of command you have for the party.
Yeah.
That's rough. It felt like a winnable game. A couple of these have felt really winnable. Miss by 1 print.
That hurts so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a Bearer suddenly hanging out on match point, stepping in to the spy side of Modern.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
Seems a little worse than it is. Lazy Bear has to win 2 games as sniper, remember. Just 1 as spy. That's still the one that matters most.
This is true.
And I'll remind you, there is a bear statue on the line here. I will mail it to the winner. This is not a joke, not a drill. It's going to happen.
49% on that first flirt is still in 2-flirt range if we hit a close green.
And an interesting choice, sometimes if you idle just a bit as one of the slowest characters like Orange Sari is on Modern or Library, that will get you a low light from certain snipers alone. You idle a little bit and you're slow, and they're going to think, you know what, if they actually manage to finish, it's either going to be really lucky, or they're going to have to move around so much that I'm going to get a chance to reconsider my low light.
Yeah. Oh man, Lazy Bear in chat saying that he wasn't even even the suspect in the last game.
That's pretty rough. It was such a beautiful game, so well spaced out, everything timed so well. You just feel for that, right? That's the problem with Modern sometimes. It's so spread out. It's really hard to account for. And those extra few seconds, they don't usually make the difference. But when you're trying to cut it that close, the fact that this venue's just a little bigger makes a huge difference.
Speaking of cutting it close, why could you not have stepped a few steps closer to the seduction target? We're on 94% on the flirt.
Yeah, and delegate to them too. It expires almost immediately. I don't think they're there. Might as well just send them off, though, a little more easily afterwards.
Oof.
And progress is okay. We're not in the red zone yet, but if you don't get something done in the next 30 seconds, you're going to be running low.
Well, looks like we're going to be picking up a book here.
And you want to animate, or do you want to leave? The book does get marked.
I don't think you really have time to step away with it and put it back innocently, especially on as slow a character as Orange Dress is.
Yep. Do you put it back in, or do you put it back innocently? I think in this place you're right. You need to put it somewhere else. You need to kill a little time. In the meantime, though, you need to at least finish this flirt. There it is. Question is, can you do something else to space this out and make it less obvious?
And you can't put it back at red because it's marked. It'll be seen too easily.
Probably, yeah. And green is just generally safer. If you want to get something done, green
And
is
then red.
that, followed by blue, followed by red. That's a fake. I assume that's going to be to try to cover for a book dump, and I don't think it's going to work.
Unfortunately, not going for it, and in conversation with suspected double agent, and at least one of the other DAs was out of combo.
Big moment, blue or green. It's going to be back to blue.
Interesting. This
Are you
is...
Well, one of the reasons to do it is that sometimes if you go back with the right book, people will low-light you for wasting time. Again, especially if you're a slow character. It makes sense sometimes to do
but
that.
we are wasting time, and that's the problem. Look at the clock. It's 1 minute and 10 seconds to play. We only have one mission done.
Yeah, fishing for lowlights at a minute, if that's the idea, a lot harder to do. It could be at this point they're just committed to not finishing mission. shot, which is perfectly reasonable sometimes.
It is, that's true. 1 minute to play now.
But is Lazy Bear going to think anyone else is done? If they have command of the party, this is just going to be a timeout.
That's true. There are 5 other highlights.
Yeah. So this is really interesting, though. A bear is basically saying, I hope the party finishes, and I hope Lazy Bear notices and shoots. If they don't, then that's that. Because when they put that blue book back in, that pretty much signaled it. Not going to try to finish here.
Ooh, I like that green watch check. That is going to put more pressure on Lazy Bear to take a shot.
Well, it's kind of desperate, though, too, at the same time, because you know at that
point... now we're swapping. This could be bad.
Yeah, don't overthink it this time. We had this happen before, and he's like, okay, who was there? Who could it be? A bear correctly realized that a shot was not going to come off. That's why the swap and the timeout are happening.
Lazy Bear, I think, knows that his main suspects for this swap just haven't done that much.
Yep. So look, he's got command of it this time. Remember in the veranda game, obviously he didn't shoot, that's fine, it's tough sometimes, but he didn't even really narrow the party down. He seemed really flummoxed by it. This time, after a few seconds delay, he gathers his thoughts and he gets the party way narrowed down, and it's correct. So he just needs to wait now. We just need to hope Smallman doesn't do something, otherwise we've got our other finalist. A bear is just trying to play dead.
Smallman, our fate is in your hands, Smallman.
It's in your small little hands. No, don't. What are you doing? He's just going to go put the book back. It's going to be boring, and the spy's going to run out of time. There it is.
All right. Lazy Bear, staying alive.
Yeah, a bear decides not to finish, decides to play dead, but Lazy Bear, I'm very impressed after some of those, difficult games earlier where they maybe lost the thread of the game a little bit or took a difficult shot or something like that. In this game, holds their shot on Modern, very impressive patience. If you're Lazy Bear, you're probably thinking, boy, I really wish I just managed to do that in maybe one more game.
I'm so angry
Or
about
man,
that.
I really wish I hadn't got screwed over by action priorities at the last second after a brilliant play to get myself what would have probably been a game.
Yeah, that too. Right now, you look at the score, it was a second ago. I don't know how. No, 2 to 3 of those games swung on the tiniest of things.
All right, ready for the next game?
Let's do it.
Potentially the deciding one.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
And
Lazy
it
Bear.
is going to be on high-rise any 3 of 5 with no swap, no purloin, and no microfilm.
And here's what's interesting about this. I said before Lazy Bear had to win 2 sniper game one there. High Rise, that sniper game is not a full-on conclusion by any stretch of the imagination, even for a good sniper. So even if Lazy Bear pulls this out, it's going to be tough to win the next one, but they got to do this first. Got to be patient and pick your spots.
Man, no matter what happens here, this set has been incredible.
It's been really good, and it's just the individual games, too. The individual games have been so dramatic, turning on the smallest things. We've seen so many games where it looks like there's going to be a timeout or something, and there's a rush of activity, and then the sniper just struggling to make sense of it.
Opening the game with a pair of flirts, we're up at 79%.
Plenty of time to flirt on High Rise. Doesn't really matter. If you don't make a complete mess of it, you're going to be able to finish. It's really about watching the party and picking your spot.
Yeah, but picking your spot is the big one, because Lazy Bear has never been that close to a seduction target. He's been distancing himself very nicely.
Yeah, and against a bear on a 3-5 variant, it is actually the kind that might get around the margins if, for example, 2 or 3 people could be done when the banana bread goes off. So there is something to be said for it. It makes sense to space out the flirts here. You can afford to, and you're against a player and a venue setup where it actually makes sense potentially to track those flirts.
Here comes the contact. 1 low light available. That was a very, very nice contact.
Which is fake, but the SDA was in with them, and as you said, 1 low light. So if you're doing a real BB later, I think the idea is to frame Papa here, or at least someone else. Papa, of course, has the highlight. I think the idea is I'll frame, but I have a chance to finish it later if I need to.
I like this.
You still have a lot of options, but those options are about to winnow very, very quick because you don't have a fingerprint, you don't have any inspects.
In position for the last flirt, but you're right, we are down to 1:15 already, and still, theoretically, technically no completions.
There's one.
There's one indeed. We can't contact until Papa gets back in conversation.
Yeah, you really don't want to give off any more lowlights at this point, if you can help it.
45 seconds.
It just doesn't look like anyone could even theoretically be done. Have we had any stat? One, maybe? This is rough.
I don't think we have.
This is
Papa's
rough.
back in conversation. We can get this contact now, but where's the last mission coming from?
I don't know, and I don't think there's been any fingerprints either. I just don't think anyone could done. I don't think this was the game to frame. It's unfortunate. Sometimes that happens on high rise. Done.
There's the contact.
He's just going to have to rush a bug, I think. He can't go to inspects. It's going to be overtime in 2. Gonna have to bug, and it's not going to be pretty. The Amba's in a terrible place.
Oh, this is so bad. He's going to wait for the Amba to move and try to intercept him, I think. 5 seconds. It's going to be overtime no matter what happens.
There's an opportunity,
chance. There's the bug. He's got to run. He's not going to make it.
He's got him.
The shot comes off, and a Berard takes it home.
And a Berard is in the finals. Complete competitive event. Again, it was a sub in Summer Cup. That bug, actually, given how desperate we were there and the long wait time and how vulnerable Amba was not before, that was about as good a situation as you could hope for. The bump was bad, but the Amba did exactly what you needed to. And Lazy Bear didn't do it perfectly, but took pretty good advantage of the situation. But at that point, no one else could be done theoretically. OT gave them plenty of time, and a Bear takes it home. And Lazy Bear sitting there left wondering what could have been if you changed just a few small details.
And how many spies would have just gone for the bug at 11 seconds and hoped?
Yes.
Like, the patience it took to get that good of a bug in that situation was very impressive.
Yeah, I actually think it was the right move. It's obviously high risk because if the Amba starts running away from you, it's a fast. You might not even literally get a chance. But the odds of getting away with a bug in that position are so low that I'd rather take the 15 or whatever % chance that the Amba's going to come by us instead and maybe you get away with it. I think it was the right choice. It must have been excruciating to be 3 or 4 seconds away from losing the entire tournament, not making the finals, having the whole thing be over, and still trusting that the Amba is going to turn one direction rather than the other. It was the right choice. They maximized their chances, but it was not the game to do what they did. Nobody else could.
But by God, it almost worked.
It almost worked. And boy, if you needed a slogan for this match, that's what it would be. It almost worked.
Yeah.
So many things almost worked. Really tough. Well played to both. So many unconventional plays. Some worked, some didn't. But the counterintuitive plays ultimately won the day here.
What an incredible set that was.
Yeah, and now it's going to be a Berard against Crazy Kaylee in the Winter Cup Finals, and he's already got him.
A Berard versus Crazy Kaylee. Oh man, that is going to be one for the record books.
Well, you have to be crazy to fight a bear.
Oh my God.
I think that's how we end this, right? That has to be it.
We're not topping it. Let's go on. Or we're not going any worse. Let's say.
So, I'd like to thank our casters here, Taboshi. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And a no thank you to Wondercrack.
I really didn't think I was going to get thanked. That's okay.
Yeah. Alright. Thank you all for joining us. Do we have a plan for the finals yet? Or is that still up in the air?
Nothing official yet. I will be surprised if we don't get a live match, but probably you can expect it next weekend sometime around the same time.
All right. So yeah, this has been the SpyParty Winter Cup. What, semifinals? Yeah, semifinals. All right. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
What kind of bear says, who's been sleeping in my bed?
Papa Bear.
What kind of bear says, who's been sleeping in my bed?
Mama Bear.
And what kind of bear says, cougar back?
Baby Bear.
Yeah, what kind of bear are you? What kind of bear are you? Tell me true. What kind of bear are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of bear are you? It gets harder.
Uh-oh.
Put on your thinking cap. What kind of bear do you snuggle with at night?
Teddy Bear.
And what kind of bear is friends with Piglet?
Pooh Bear.
Yes. And what kind of bear steals your picnic basket?
Yogi Bear.
And what kind of bear is hardly even there?
Barely?
Bear.
And what kind of bear goes around without shoes?
Barefoot.
And what kind of bear sings between tenor and bass?
Baritone.
And what kind of bear is full of monkeys?
Barrel of monkeys.
What kind of bear is a scary fish with sharp teeth?
Barracuda.
What kind of bear are you? What kind of bear are you? Tell me true. What kind of bear are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of bear are you? It gets harder.
Oh, man.
Put on your thinking cap. Cause the next ones aren't bears,
Wait, what?
they're fish.
Oh.
What kind of fish cracks a mountain?
Fisher?
And what kind of fish is related to a weasel and a badger?
Fisher?
What?
Really? Yep, look it up. And what kind of fish likes to catch fish?
A fisherman.
And what kind of fish is part of a nuclear reaction?
Fishing.
And what kind of fish works for the government?
Official.
And what kind of fish is fake?
Artificial.
Yes. And what kind of fish is small and used to live in the library? Teeny tiny.
Microfish.
Micro?
I don't know what that is.
What is that? Is it a microwave?
No, film with a bunch of small pictures.
Oh.
And what kind of fish used to play chess?
Bobby Fischer.
What kind of fish are you? What kind of fish are you? Tell me true. What kind of fish are you? I'll give you those clues. What kind of fish are you? It gets harder.
Uh-oh.
Put on your thinking cap. Cause the next ones aren't bears or fish, they're bats.
Really?
What kind of bat is held by a batter?
A bat.
And what kind of bat is a flutter of the eyelashes?
A bat.
And what kind of bat is a unit of fiberglass insulation?
A bat.
And what kind of bat lives in a cave?
A bat.
Can we move on?